Good morning. Today I'm at the site of my childhood home and property. This here is the foundation of the old house where I grew up in. So today I'm going to talk about 30 some odd years ago. 1982, sorry. September 1982. While I was still drinking and using alcohol, I committed my second crime. I got arrested my second time as a juvenile delinquent under the Juvenile Delinquents Act in Ontario. So these days it's called the Young Offenders Act, as I had explained in one of my videos. So I'm around the edge of my property here, and this incident happened on a Sunday afternoon, either the second Sunday or the third Sunday or the last Sunday in May of 1982. So yeah, that would have been quite a while back. Actually, not 35 years ago. It would have been more like 43 years ago. So sometimes, excuse me, I get my calculations wrong when I'm trying to talk and explain stuff. So I'm talking about stuff that's happened quite a while ago. This is here is Oreo. He just wanted to say hello this morning if you can see him. Say anish na, Oreo. Say anish na. So the armed robbery that I'm going to talk about happened while I was still using alcohol, and I woke up drunk on that Sunday morning inside my house, and I called up the taxi driver. I had money, but I was running out of money, and I didn't want to go back to school with no money on Monday. And because I was, like most kids, it was cool to have money, but I was planning on doing something crazy for a while to get out of my childhood home because of all the drinking and alcoholism that was going on. And so I started out with my high school year being arrested, and I ended it getting arrested. So I called up a taxi. Today I'm not really quite sure if it was a United taxi or a veterans taxi. Either one. They were very big companies here in Sarnia at the time, and the only one that is still here is United. So as a result of that, to pay back my dues and my respects and my apologies, I chose a taxi company, and that was United Taxi, to always, use their business and call them at all times whenever I needed anything. Nowadays, when I'm an adult and I'm not using alcohol anymore, so I called up the taxi and I said, send me a taxi to. I gave them the address here on Tajmood, and this would have been the area of the driveway. Right straight through there, and that's where the house was, right in there. So I was planning on doing something really crazy, but I just didn't know what. And I planned on doing an armed robbery for a while, but I wasn't too sure if I was capable of it. And so I made a fake gun, but it didn't work. It worked, but I just didn't have the nerve to use it. So I didn't try to pull it out or use it for... all I know is once I called that taxi, I only had about 15-20 minutes before the taxi got here. And I would place them under arrest for... place them under arrest. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So anyways, I would that's when I was going to do the armed robbery up the road here. I told him, actually I didn't give him my address, I'm sorry. I didn't give him my address, but an address very close to here, which is maybe about a couple hundred feet away that way, south of here. This is the telephone pole that used to be outside my house. This was the driveway, the original driveway. So once I called the taxi, oh yeah, my uncle John and and his girlfriend, they were in the back roads or wherever they were gone. They weren't there that day, but they lived with us, and they were off in their car out for a ride somewhere. It was getting closer to around noon hour, or between 11 and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So my grandfather, he was drinking quite a bit too, and he was passed out on his bed, and I woke up on the couch and called that taxi, and I was half sober and half kind of drinking, so I kind of knew what I was doing, but I was still quite drunk, and I didn't want to run out of alcohol, and we were running out of alcohol, and I just didn't want to run out of money. Everything seemed so depressing, and I thought today is the day that I'm going to do this, whatever the hell I'm going to do. So I went out the driveway here. Went out the driveway, and I had a barbecue fork, like a big barbecue fork that you use, when you're out handling burgers, big chunks of meat and stuff like that. So I had one of those. I chose that instead of my fake gun. And what I did was I kept waiting for the taxi to come down the road like that. And I walked down the road a little ways, and it's about this time of the morning. I had also had a rubber Halloween mask, and it was an old man. It was an old man mask, a rubber old man Halloween mask, and I bought it that the Halloween before as a joke, just because that's the kind of kid I was, right? That's this kind of stuff that I did. I was a joker, but this time it was not a joke. This time I really was going to do something crazy. So there used to be a house over here, a gray house, and so I stood right about here, and I looked down the road, and I kept waiting for the taxi. Finally I saw him, and I stood here right about here. Stood right about here, and I waited for him to come up, and he came up and stopped right about here, and that was an older man, about a white man in his 40s, and he says, is this something road? And I said, yeah, and I'm the one that called you, but I didn't put the mask on yet. First, I didn't put the mask on, right? And so what had happened was I waited for him to pull up. He pulled up, and I went and got the excuse me for a minute, I gotta wait for the car to go by. Yeah, so anyways, I waited for him to pull up, and he pulled up right about here, and he says, is this something Tajmu? And I said, yeah. And then just as I got in the car, I pulled a rubber mask over my head, and I was only wearing a t-shirt that day. So I pulled the mask over my head, the rubber mask, and I jumped in the car with him. I said, give me all the money, like that. And he was okay. He was digging in his pockets, and he pulled all. I was almost right in his lap like that, and he pulled the money out of his pockets, right, like that. And he only had something like $40, and I put the $40, and I kept looking down the road both ways to see if there was cars coming. I was like, come on, hurry up, give me, you got more. And he says, oh no, that's all I have. And I held a knife up to him like that, and I go, you got more. And he says, no, that's all I have. And so I took the $40, and I got back out of the taxi, and what I did next was I looked around again to see if there's anybody watching, and I went running into the bushes like this, right about here. And he had he was still parked there, but I ran through the bushes, and I'm not too sure for how far back I went, but I went through, and I came out this way. Came out through here, so a little further back, and I wanted to come back. I went back far enough so that I didn't think he could see me, but what he did was he turned his car around, and he must have been following and listening to me walk through the bushes, going through the weeds and the bushes, and I thought I really had him. I was a little disappointed that it was only $40, right? 40 bucks wasn't going to cut it, even in 1982. So what I did was I came I didn't even come down through the driveway. What I did was I came through the woods. Through the woods, I'll show you where. Right through that way, I came out that way. And then right up to where the house was. Right up to the house where the house was, which is right over here. And so I was inside the house. I got inside the house, right? Got inside the house, and my grandpa was already waking up. He's saying, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And I said, "Oh, nothing. Everything's okay." And it's harder for me to talk out there because there's traffic going by. So, anyways, I looked as I was coming into at the same time, I noticed that taxi driver. He was just going slow on a road like that. And I got really mad, and I went running back out. Actually, my grandpa wasn't awake yet. I saw the taxi driver first. That's why I'm trying to recall something that happened in 1982, which is quite a while ago. But so he didn't wake up yet at first. What I meant to say was I saw the taxi driver first, and then I went running out here like this, running out the driveway, right up the side like that. I stood right about here, and the taxi driver was right there, and I yelled at him. I said, "Get out of here! Get the fuck out of here!" And he just kept on, just kept going slow like that. I said, "Get the fuck out of here!" And I still had the mask on, right? And then what I ended up doing was going in the house. That's when my grandfather woke up. My grandpa woke up, and he says, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And I said, "Nothing, everything's all right." And by then, the Sarnia police had pulled up. And they came up knocked on the front door, and I tried to pretend I was sleeping right on the couch. And so that didn't work, that didn't go over too good. They knew I was pretending. One of my arresting officers was named Smokey Monahan. And Smokey Monahan was a good guy. And so he was beginning to understand what was going on here. And I was laying on the couch, and as they brought more cops came to the door, and my grandfather let them in. And while he was doing that, I told the cop, Smokey Monahan, I said, I told him, take me with you, take me out of here. And so he just nodded his head. He told the other cop, he says, get the other car ready. He wants us to take him. So I ended up going out the door here. My grandpa, he couldn't believe what had happened. And he goes, did you rob the taxi? And I said no. And he goes, what a boy! Like, you know, he couldn't believe what I did. So anyways, I ended up going with the cops. We got in right about here was the cop car. Was sitting right over around here. And I got in the back of the cop car like that. And I was sitting down in the back of the cop car, and the door, Monahan still had the door open, and he was standing there, and he goes, what's going on, son? What's going on? Is somebody hurting you? You want to talk about it? You want to tell me about it? What's going on? Is everything okay? And I said, no, I just want to leave here. I don't want to be involved with this drinking anymore. I don't want to be in. That's why I did this. And he goes, okay. He goes, all right, okay, we'll take you to someplace where you'll be a little bit safer, he says. So I was sitting in the back of the cop car, and I could hear them talking while the door was still open. And he says, he goes, he was talking to the cop, and I could hear him. He says, he's tired of his drinking. He doesn't want to stay here anymore, and he's going to admit to everything. And he goes, okay, so we'll take you into the police station. And so that's what they did. They took me to the police station. Smokey Monahan found the rubber mask and the fork right behind the couch, where I tried to stash it real quick. I tried to get rid of the evidence. I even tried to, change my shirt real quick, but it didn't work. So I ended up sitting in that. I started sobering up real quick, and I was like before. And they put me in this room at the Sarnia police station where they put juvenile delinquents, people that were still underage, to be getting thrown in jail. So they were a little bit more respectful towards me this time, because I was a little bit calmer. I wasn't as drunk as I was, but what I had done was cry out for help. And I thought, leaving here and going in children's aid, that would be the answer to helping me cope with the problems that I was going through here, which was a lot of alcoholism, a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, and a lot of, I was getting tired of it and sick of it. I was becoming a part of it. And so I got taken to the boys' home, the group home. Got taken to the boys' home in Petrolia, which is just southeast of Sarnia here. And it was not a boys' home, a group home. And it was a big ranch that had a bunch of teenagers and kids there, troubled kids, and people that were in ward of children's aid, people that were in ward of detention. So anybody that got charged or arrested in Lambton County or around this area, they went there. Here in Lambton County, they went to it was a detention home too. So it was just, all it was a great big house. It was a great big house that full of kids that were charged with stuff. And so I had to go to court on Tuesday again, but I stayed there that whole weekend, and I got to talk to, I wasn't allowed to talk on the phone just yet, until after I'd gone to court. So anyways, I was allowed to talk to a lawyer. That was about it. But I ended up, what I did was I ended up telling the lawyer, telling everybody, they got the children's aid involved, and I said what I wanted was to, just get out, but I didn't want my grandpa to know. So they kept it from him. They would pull him out of the house, or pull him out of the room, or they wouldn't let him in the courtroom when when they discussed some of the facts about me wanting to be, not wanting to live there anymore. So it was a changing point in my life, and my criminal career started off not only violent, but very quickly, and it escalated more from there. And I got more involved in alcohol. But when I went to court, I ended up living in a detention home, a horse ranch, that horse ranch that I'm talking about, Deckers, it was called, the Deckers Youth Ranch. They would look after the kids and make sure everybody, they had other group home staff there, looking after the place too, and making sure the kids were fed, and it was like a great big family, living with it was a great big family, but just a lot of kids, couches and everything. It wasn't like a jail. It was far from it. And so it was a comfortable place, and although I missed home, I enjoyed it. And they also let me attend high school, finish off high school in June. And I became ward of children's aid. And I was taken out of my grandfather's custody and into, I was placed in children's aid custody by Judge Kent, who was the juvenile judge at the time. And so 2 years after all this, that's when the Young Offenders Act started. But this was still the Juvenile Delinquents Act. So I was still just under 16, and I was still pretty much a very young offender, and not a young offender. I was a young offender, but I was a pretty obnoxious young offender, and this is some of the crazy stuff I did. So a lot of the people here on my First Nation couldn't believe what I did that day, and I certainly made a name for myself. And when I said I was told, when I told myself I want to do something crazy, I did it. And when the cops talked to me, they were, as long as I was cooperative, they were cooperative, and so they really helped me with my case, my court cases, and all that. So after that group home, I ended up going into a boys' home on Exmouth Street here in Sarnia, called Community Boys' Home. So that was basically my punishment for robbing the taxi, and I was there for a little while, and I'll tell you more about what happened after that. Have a good afternoon, and thank you for joining me and my dog Oreo for a walk around my childhood home and property to relive this experience, helping me to get sober, or helping me to stay sober. Been sober 13 years now.